What are you going to do with those pies, boys?
Hello, cadets, and welcome to another episode of the Big Monster Briefing Room. And I am General Howitzer, retired. And tonight we're going to talk about zombies, and not just any zombies, the zombies from the original Dawn of the Dead from the George Romero trilogy from the 70s and 80s. Our first guest on this show was when we did Night of the Living Dead. And that is Julio Morales. We'll be bringing him up in just a minute. But first off, let me bring up my able-bodied assistant, Major Hazzard. Where are you, Hazzard?
Hello, General. Hello, it's good to be here. Thank you so much for coming by. You wonderful cucumbers, as Tom Cheshire says, the cadet cucumbers. That's what he says, Tom Cheshire. You know, he says, you wonderful cucumbers.
What the hell?
I don't know, but they're cadets with cucumbers. It's alliteration, you know?
Okay. Well, yeah, okay. Apples and oranges, I guess. Anyway,
where's your
we're not seeing you. We're not seeing you. And we're not seeing Mothra even.
We're not even seeing Mothra. Yeah, you know, I love Mothra, but I had to change it up a little bit. I'm wearing my NASA jacket. I served, you know, at NASA. I'm very proud of that fact, and so I like to showcase that sometimes. Oh, there you go.
What secret mission are you up to this week?
The only thing I'm going to tell you, and it's for your minds to determine, is I'm covered in goo. I'm covered in goo from up to about my waist high, covered in goo. That's the only thing I'm going to say. Some goo.
Ectoplasmic goo or
ectoplasmic goo. Ectoplasmic goo. And let me tell you, I haven't slept in 2 days, 48 hours, but this is the last defense that we have against the big monsters, and I'm proud to serve.
All right. Okay. I don't want to know anymore.
Ignorance
is bliss.
You just don't want it in your tea, because sometimes it could look like a honey consistency. If you get that thing in your tea, you don't know what's going to happen. Just know you'll be spending some time in the bathroom after you ingest that. I'll tell you. Don't
if you ingest. Well, won't you be possessed if you ingest?
There's multiple things. There's multiple things that can happen. There's multiple things, and like I said, don't ask me how I know. I've been there. I've been there. I got my T-shirt. Everything.
and a spiritual Montezuma's revenge. Ghosts will be coming out your. Anyway, that brings me to an important point. On this show is not for kids. Okay, on this show we show graphic material. We do a timeline of the movie from the beginning to the end, and we're doing Dawn of the Dead, which was pretty graphic. It's Tomsavini effects, so they're pretty realistic. And you know, we curse sometimes. You know, again, it's an adult show. And again, we do a timeline. So spoilers. We go from the beginning to the end with a timeline of slides for the training film. And there it is. We're the cliff notes of horror movies and monster movies.
That's absolutely true, General, and we're very proud to be here. And we greet all of our cadets and take notes, everybody. And remember, these are training films. This is not entertainment. We're trying to help you people, help yourselves, and help the world be a safer place. You don't want to be covered in goo. Let me tell you that. We do that for you. So these are the.
God forbid you're surrounded by a bunch of crazy people who had ate bath salts.
Not a good idea.
So you got a zombie apocalypse on your hand before you know it.
We gotta stay safe. But you know, the graphic that we just put up there was made by our guest who's coming in, who is, like you said, the first guest. He's our zombie expert.
Yes.
I don't know if you want to bring him on. He's back.
Morales with an E, not an I. Let me go. Yeah, bring him up so I can apologize to him for that.
There you go. Bucket of fish, bucket of fish, bucket of fish.
There he is.
Bucket of fish, bucket of fish, bucket of fish.
Fish.
So in my defense, I had forgotten to get the ad out that day, so it was like 1:30 in the morning, and I was very tired when I did it. So I'm sorry for that misspell of your name. I should know it's Morales.
Sleep typing. It's fine.
Morales. Les. You have Les at the end of your name.
Yes.
Brilliant.
Or the less you expect, the better off you are. But hold on, I have drumsticks for that.
He's going to do his own drum riff. He's doing his own drum riff, folks. So where's Mr. Bones? There, is he on the wall?
Yeah, he's still up here.
Okay.
I've yet to move him over here to the corner.
He is your last line of defense. So again, we're going back to the original Night of the Living Dead trilogy that started it all. It started this whole wave of zombie apocalypse films that we see today. George Romero directed these. Tomsavini did the effects. They're pretty entertaining. They were I didn't realize it until I was doing the timeline for this movie that they were released independently. They were not released through a big studio.
Yep.
So and Romero did quite well for himself with these. He had done others like Diary of the Dead, where he was like executive producer. But the first three, they're the original trilogy, and of course he did remakes of all of them.
Yeah, Night, Dawn, and Day.
Yeah,
I think the first real time they had studio backing Romero, and that was when John Russo was making his own line of sequels, which we know were much more campy and they're still gory and everything, but it's not the traditional story that Romero was telling with these three films, and he kind of continued with Land
they
of the
split
Dead.
off because this one says it's written and directed solely by George Romero.
Yep.
So,
and when the
Russo went off to make the Return of the Living Dead in the 80s.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Romero did Dawn, and Russo did Return of the Living Dead. And then Return of the Living Dead 2 and 3, and
there you go. Follow the money trail. Big money in zombies.
You would say so, yes.
Zombie training films, big money in these movies. So let's go ahead and get to the timeline. We'll talk about what happens in this film, and hopefully you'll glean some information that'll help save your life someday. The original opening for Dawn of the Dead, and by the way, we talked about this over the phone. There is an extended director's cut of this film that's 2.5 hours long, and
I had found what I wound up finding by the end of today was there was a U.S. cut of the film that was about 2 hours 7 minutes, and then there's another extended cut that I think was about maybe 2:15. And then there was the one that I saw that was called the complete cut, and that was nearly 3 hours at I believe 2:47. So
there's another cut because mine was just over 2.5 hours, and that's where this
so there was a lot of cuts to it. And if I'm not mistaken, this movie was originally released in Italy. So typically, once a movie is released in America, you have to cut it down for time, because what you're doing is you want to show it as many times in the cinema as possible, because that's how you're making the most amount of money.
Right. Well, that was the practice back then. Yes, back in the 70s and the 80s.
Yeah, they don't do that now.
To be sure.
Any means.
To be sure.
Yeah,
they'll just have later times for the movie. Oh, you want to catch that 11:55 p.m. movie? So they'll show movies till 3 a.m. in the morning. Gosh darn it. Okay, so let's get to the timeline. She is working. This is our gaylenross plays Francine in this. She is the heroine, and this is really her movie. She's the survivor at the end of the movie. Spoiler. And that is actually George Romero in the TV studio directing the TV program.
Yes, yes, it is.
It's a cameo that he did at the beginning of the film. And it's chaos at the TV station. They're trying to do an interview with a guy who's telling people, once your family member dies, you got to either burn the body or dismember the body so that it doesn't come back and try to eat you. And everybody's throwing paper at him and stuff, and they're saying you're crazy and all this, but that's the situation that they're in. I mean, once you die, you become a zombie, and you want to eat people. So, and there was and there's the TV show. That's the guy on the left with the beard who is telling people that they need to take care of their dead before the dead come back to life. In Return of the Living Dead, which we explained, John Russo went over to that camp and started that franchise. They eat brains. The zombies want to eat brains. And that started a bunch of video games where zombies want to eat brains. But actually, zombies are just cannibals. They will eat anything.
Yeah.
And that's what George Romero was trying to say here. And that's what they do in The Walking Dead and other zombie-related fare. The brain thing was strictly Return of the Living Dead.
Being cannibals in general is very big in the zombie genre as far as Italy as a whole. Because an interesting fact, I suppose, about Dawn of the Dead is that there was a Dawn of the Dead in Italy, but it is not this movie. Okay. It is a movie by Lucio Fulci called Hell of the Living Dead. So, yeah. So it
this
creates
one was called Zombie, right? Over there.
Yeah, they called this Zombie, but they had already called their zombie Hell of the Living Dead, or Dawn of the Living Dead. So now the one that was called Dawn of the Living Dead is called Zombie 2 in Italy. So if you're a collector at home and you're looking for it, you can get Dawn of the Living Dead and Zombie, and then they're the same movie, and then get Zombie 2, and it's the same movie also.
If you don't want to collect and have those different titles of that same movie.
Yes, well, I'm just saying that if you're going to get a box set, you might be displeased with what you're getting.
So how long is Zombie? How long is Dawn of the Dead? Zombie?
Not 90 minutes. Not 90 minutes. You're done. They walk off into the city and the credits roll.
Leo DiCaprio's got a zombie on the front of the ship. It's 3.5 hours. Okay, so as this commotion is going on in the studio, Stephen, her boyfriend, who happens to be the pilot of the helicopter for the TV station, he says, "We're getting out of here at midnight. Meet me on the roof. We're stealing the helicopter." So that's a plot point. Now we switch over to where the SWAT team are about to invade a building full of criminals, and they suspect that they're also hoarding zombies in there, which is the truth. And this tells you how serious the situation is. These guys come out shooting, killing people. Of course, they get all shot up. But what's interesting about the first half of this movie, the first 30 minutes of this movie, is there's a lot of people that were in Day of the Dead in these scenes in the first part of this movie. The very big police officer there, who's gung ho, and this poor guy, he blows his head off. this dummy, and that's a lot of meat in there. The guy that blows his head off is a big cop. He's actually a big soldier in Day of the Dead. And he's the same kind of character. He's just a really brash idiot who, thinks he's an alpha and he's pushing everybody around. And this one, he's this gung-ho cop who's not shooting everybody. So they get in there, and there's zombies on the floor with their legs off. There's zombies jumping out of every room. This one guy gets away, and this poor kid, there he is, the husband of this woman, and this woman goes to hug him, and he bites her. just say there is no love in the zombie world. Okay, they're just hungry. So it's all messed up. So this guy here, Roger, goes up to the up to the roof to smoke, and he meets Peter, played by kenforee. And they decide maybe they're going to get out of there. Roger actually has a ticket on that helicopter flight. Flyboy Steven is going to help him get out. He's going to take him with him. So he says, "Hey, why don't you come with us, Peter?" And that's when the Reverend comes out. And it says, "Please lock cellar when finished," which is ironic because down in the cellar, there's a bunch of family members who are zombies now. And they are keeping them down there in the cellar. So the police go down to the cellar. They break it open. Greg Gannon has completely forgotten this movie. Cadet Gannon, shame on you. Got to remember this stuff. Save your life someday. So they go down there. They're shooting zombies in the heads because you kill the head, you kill the brain, you kill the zombie. So yeah, there they are. Some of them they've got sheets wrapped around their heads so they can't bite people. Some of them are just chewing on other body parts. I don't know how they got them, but there it is. People can be through body parts down there. I don't know. So they end up shooting them all, killing them all in the head, destroying the zombies. But it's messed up. That's the one thing that George A. Romero got that the other guys don't seem to care about is how messed up and insane that this would be. And what it would take, the toll it would take on your mind. I mean, it would make people insane. It'd make people crazy, having to kill family members and dispose of their bodies, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and that's why there's a lot of discussion in it throughout this movie. Especially towards the end with the one guy where they're like. And just the possibility of death in general, like with the one guy that knows how to fly the helicopter, and they're like, I'd like to know how to fly this helicopter too,
in case something
happens to you.
Yes. Yeah, he teaches his girlfriend to.
Or even the one guy later on that he's turning and he's like, I want you to do it the second that it happens, so that I'm not walking around like that.
Yeah.
So then, like, they've created this friendship together, but at the same time, it's like, look, dude, you just got to do it because it needs to be done. So, I mean, that's just on a personal level. You still get the hordes of zombies where there's a bunch of them all in one place, but you still also get that thing where it's like, okay, maybe this has a little more meaning behind it than just blasting everybody up.
Yeah. Well, again, it's just it has to be emotionally taxing. And again, she's we find out that she's pregnant, Francine, and she's thinking about how she's got to bring up a little baby in this world. Bring a kid up in this land of the dead. Hey. So so they finish these guys off, and they're like, let's get out of here. So Francine and Flyboy Steven start. Juicing up the chopper, and they're getting gas at a place, evidently where there's police, because a group of police guys come up, and this guy on the right here, he's the head of their police force. He's also the head of the military in Day of the Dead. Yes. He shows up in Day of the Dead. I don't know the actor's name offhand. Well, wait a minute, I can tell you in just a second. Give me a second. All right. Officers at police dock. Ted Bank, Patrick McCloskey, Randy Kovitz. It's Joe Pilato, I believe. Joe Pilato, I think is his name. I'm pretty sure I saw an interview with him where he was talking about Day of the Dead, and it's Joe Pilato. I'm pretty sure. Why he didn't get top billing, I don't know. So, okay.
Actually, when was that? I got something in front of me that says here, in addition to that, there's the motorcycle scene later on.
Yeah.
And a lot of people that are in the motorcycle scene are in Day of the Dead later on as well.
Oh, yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Surprisingly,
the sound of
Tomsavini
this.
is not in it.
No, and usually he does have some kind of cameo where he dies.
There was another motorcycle movie where they did knights and motorcycles. I'm trying to think of the name of it. But a lot of these guys are in that too. Uh-oh. My light just blew out. What the heck?
Uh-oh.
Come on now.
Let there be light.
Yes. Okay. I hope you can see me all right. I've got some light coming out of that ring light, but anyway, that was weird. Don't know why that happened. Anyway. Okay, so yeah, they meet up with this other police team and stuff starts to get hairy. Like they don't know what's gonna happen. And then Kenforee pops out of the police car driven by Roger, and he's like, "Everything okay here?" And they realize there's other police, so they decide to go their own ways. And they get in the chopper with Roger and introduce Peter to the other two. And the other guys go away in a boat. They say they're going to go to an island.
Some island.
Yeah.
An island somewhere. Yeah.
Yes. So they're flying around.
Island of the Dead would prove that doesn't work. So,
you know, anywhere where you just kind of pigeonhole yourself in one place where you can't really escape, not a good idea.
Yes, very much so.
And that's what this movie is about. I mean, these guys, they take up residence in a mall coming up here. They're looking around for a place to, and again, in prison break, Walking Dead, they spend a season or maybe two seasons in a prison.
Yeah.
Again, you gotta have an escape route.
With this film, they kind of play around with the location until they get to the grand finale of where the majority of this film is going to take place. Right. And it's awesome.
Yeah. So if you have an escape route, that's okay. You know, if you have a way to get out without zombies, stopping you. Again, it'd be hard to get on a boat and get away from an island full of zombies if the zombies came to the island. But that's another movie and another time.
Indeed.
George Romero discusses this in a later film. And I can never remember that film's name. I think it's Land of the Dead, right? Land of the Dead?
I believe it started out life as Twilight of the Dead, and they changed it to Land of the Dead upon release. Yes.
Yeah, because you got you got Night of the Living Dead, then Dawn of the Dead, then Day of the Dead. Then, why not? Evening cocktails with the dead.
Yeah.
So as they're flying over, they're seeing these groups of hillbillies hunting zombies out in the woods, doing target practice, wasting their ammo. I shouldn't say that because they're killing zombies. You're wasting your ammo if you shoot a zombie in the body, which they do a lot of in this movie.
Actually, there is a very lot of that in this movie, and there's actually the one blonde guy with the shorter hair. I have a hard time with the characters in this movie just because they refer to each other as their names very little. But the guy with the very short blonde hair at first, the guy who's
That's Roger.
Yeah, the guy who's like, I want to say I don't know if he's boyfriend and girlfriend with the main female protagonist or not, but he's just plugging him in the gut and stuff. And every single time the blonde dude just steps right in front of him, plugs him in the head, and they fall down in a second.
Yeah, he knows.
And it keeps on happening.
Peter, no.
But the other guy doesn't learn his lesson ever.
Yeah, I know. Steven, who the fans like to call Flyboy. Steven, doesn't seem to get the fact that shooting him in the limbs, in the stomach, in the chest doesn't work.
And they call her Fly Girl, right?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't heard that. I just call her.
I saw that in my notes too. Francine, but Fly Girl also.
Petting Zoo of the Dead. Which brings up another point. You don't see a lot of pets or animals, zombies in these films, which they would be all over the gosh darn place. There would be zombie animals everywhere.
Usually the animal zombies are zombies by themselves, a la Pet Cemetery. Or, let's see. Well, there was always, there was Garden of the Living Dead.
Garden of the Living Dead. Was there a Flight of the Living Dead? There was a Flight of the Living Dead, right? Where all of it takes place. It's like snakes on the plane.
Yeah.
It all takes place on an airline plane, right? On a flight. Flight of the Living Dead. True. It's true. It's out there. You can find it.
Yeah, a lot of them are true.
That also happens in World War Z, WWZ. There's a flight that becomes infected somehow. And I'm not sure how, because you turn into a zombie in 12 seconds in that film. So it's like, even if you got on the flight and got bitten at the front of the plane, you still have to take off, you know. That takes more than 12 seconds. How the hell did that happen?
I think the only closest movie that is of the dead on my shelf right now, I probably can't show on your show here.
You've got Porn of the Living Dead, don't you?
No, it's it's worse than that.
Oh, no, we are not doing the Human Centipede on this show. We're not doing it.
I do have a Nightmare on Elmo Street.
Let's not go there. All right.
Okay.
Let's go back to the zombies. So they're doing target practice on the zombies. They're treating it like it's no big deal. And we know it's big. Hey, that guy's got a really big forehead. I just got to point that out. Man, he's got a huge cranium, man. That guy's got brains. This is a lot of people's favorite zombie in this film. And again, it's a nice effect. But it's so obvious when he first steps out, you go, oh, I know what's going to happen here. With a proboscis like that. So they've found some fuel. They're refueling the helicopter. Peter goes into the house right next to the pump there to see what's going on, and he is attacked by two little zombie kids. Now, in this long version of the film that I've seen, there's quite a few kid zombies in that I don't remember being there before, and they're getting shot. So they're shooting kids in these movies, and I'm sure that was one of the things the censors cut out of the theatrical release was shooting the kids.
For America, sure.
And there's the world's greatest dad right there.
It was it was still too early in America for this, and even I believe 1983's Children at Play by Troma. The last 15 minutes is basically a child massacre.
Oh my God!
So,
well, we know where Troma is. We know what they're all about.
But yeah, and they're not really worried about the MPAA either. So
obviously, so, and again, there are a lot of fans out there that love that stuff. You know, I mean, Poltergeist.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, there's the dad of the living dead right there. He shows up, and this is one of those scenes where, like you said, Roger cuts in front of Steven and shoots the zombie right through the head, and it kills it. But Peter's upset with Steven because he shot at him, not realizing he was behind the zombie, and he actually points his gun at him. Goes, "Hey, it doesn't feel so good, does it?" That kind of thing. So anyway, tension builds. They get back in the helicopter, the whirlybird, and continue on. And that's when they find the mall. And they light down on the mall, hoping to maybe get something to eat, find some stuff, and they realize, hey, this is pretty cool. We like this place. Because the first room that they go into, it's through a skylight, has a bunch of supplies like military K rations and stuff to eat.
And that's another thing that they use. They establish her character very early because right when the one guy gets on the helicopter, he asks her, "Hey, anybody got a cigarette? Anybody got a cigarette?" And the second he buzzes off, she lights up a cigarette and stuff. And by the time they get in this room, everybody's smoking.
Yes, that was a funny bit. That was a funny.
It was. I forgot to mention it when we were there a moment ago.
Yeah, it was when they were with the other cops that went off on the boat to an island somewhere, and they didn't have any cigarettes. So anyway, yeah, and they find boxes of cigarettes and boxes of K rations and stuff here at this place. They're like, hey, let's stick around here for a few days. Which is a good plan.
We could find some stuff. And I really like that part of the movie because they just kind of, and like, they're kind of scared, and they go from being a little scared to be like, hey, let's loot this friggin' joint.
Yeah, well, that's coming up. Boys will be boys. These guys decide after a couple of days of just kind of sitting around doing nothing, hey, let's fuck with the zombies.
Let's start stealing shit. Yeah.
see what we can find.
Yeah.
So there it is.
Yeah.
and there they go. It's the two police officers first because Flyboy's sleeping. Francine is very upset because now they're taking a chance. They could get killed. Yeah. They could get bitten. She doesn't like that. She's the voice of reason.
Where she is the voice of reason, and it makes her more like Barbara. Because throughout this, she does have her moments where she's badass, especially towards the end. She's super badass, but it takes a while for her to get there. She kind of starts out the same way Barbara did in Night, where she's kind of timid. And rewatching it, I was like, oh yeah, I remember this is one of the parts that I didn't like. Because as I've said before, if you watch the '89 remake of Night, Barbara is badass from the get-go, and I like that idea of a female protagonist, being badass the entire time. And I don't know if it was just maybe a period piece.
Okay, you're talking about the Night remake, yeah. Night of the Living Dead remake.
In 1989, yeah.
Yeah. Also a redhead.
Yes, indeed.
George Romero likes gingers.
Apparently so.
So they go off into the mall and they find the keys to the mall. And they go to the big department store. Actually, it's Penny's. This place is such a product placement for Penny's. I mean, we see Penny's so many times. That logo, that 70s Penny's logo. And here, this is.
I will tell you. I will tell you that cracked me up because they're having this conversation. They're like, "We're gonna loot this place," and then they're standing in a J.C. Penney's.
They're in a Penny's. So these two zombies are very important. The girl that's playing the nurse zombie, she was actually like a lead zombie coach in this. I read on IMDb. Let me find her name. I'm sorry, Sharonceccatti. and mikechristopher does a lot of conventions because he's the Hare Krishna zombie, and he's one of the more memorable zombies from this film.
Yeah, I believe there's actually some covers in certain areas where he is actually on the cover of Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah,
he's the cover shot. So
again, it was a novel idea, and he got to do it, and we reached out to him hoping he would come and join us on the show, but again, these guys go to conventions, and that's probably where they are right now. They're probably signing autographs right now as we speak. Sure. I actually reached out to Kenforee, who plays one of our lead characters, and our Francine, of course. Peter, he plays Peter, and gaylenross, who plays Francine. So I was hoping that maybe they would join us, but again, they're busy people. Okay, I couldn't get any. Davidemge is off the grid, as is Scott Reiniger, the other two in the movie, because evidently they probably got a lot of fans and stuff that harangue them, and they just you got to go through their agent to find them. So
right,
but they're still out there. They're still out there doing conventions and stuff. God bless them. Meeting up with the fans that way. Okay, so yeah, here they are in the pennies, looting the place. Woohoo! They've got the zombies locked out for the most part. He wakes up, Flyboy wakes up, and he's like, they're going out and looting stuff. She's like, yeah, they're going out and looting stuff. He's like, cool! And he goes running out. Again, boys will be boys. And he doesn't realize it, or they don't realize it, but they have led the zombies to the place that goes up to the top room there. Yeah. So the Hare Krishna zombie kind of figures it out and heads up the staircase. So they're out there having fun, looting and everything. This is where he has to put the screwdriver in the zombie's ear. Zombie jumps him. And yeah, they meet up and they're having fun. You know, and there's the Pennies logo. So, unfortunately, the Hare Krishna zombie's heading upstairs. They find out he's got a little book that has like the schematic of the mall, which also includes like the air vent ducts and stuff, so they can move around the mall unseen by zombies or other invaders. Yeah, they're going up to the elevator right now to see one of these air duct things. And she's upstairs waiting for them to come back, and Hare Krishna zombie shows up. She realizes, oh God, a zombie coming this way. And he gets into their room. He pushes past the boxes. And she pulls out a flare and holds him back with that. And luckily, the other guys show up just in time before this thing bites her. So they save her. But she's not happy about it. You know. So they're watching TV on their new 13-inch black and white. It's actually a color TV. I'm kidding. And they're talking about, hey, let's go out again. Let's do it again. That was fun. And she's like, come on, guys, don't. I got a better idea. Let's block off the mall. We'll get some. I saw some trucks when we were coming in here. We can block off the entrances with the trucks, lock the doors, and then kill all the zombies in here and put them in the meat locker downstairs. Or the meat locker in one of the restaurants. Well, I don't know why they did that, but anyway, there it is. They put them in a meat locker. Now, they could use the meat that's in the meat locker to feed themselves, but no, they're going to contaminate it by putting zombies next to it. I had a problem with that. So anyway, here's the plan. I'm sorry. Why put zombies next to sides of beef?
It's valid. It's just kind of like when they take out the Hare Krishna zombie by kind of just kicking him in the head, and he just kind of fell over. It seemed like there was no satisfying conclusion to that.
It's like, hey, you guys want to make some ribs tonight, or cook up this side of beef? Well, but the zombie's been lying on it.
Yeah. Ted's about to turn, so I think we can eat him in a minute.
We got some steaks here, but that's right. We stored the zombies next to them. That's probably not a good idea. Stored the dead guys.
Maybe there was a fridge in the break room at Penny's we didn't know about.
They never say where the cooler is. They don't. They never explain that. Why would they take the time? So anyway, Roger his head is not really in the game here when they're trying. He's not really paying attention. And zombies are coming up out of everywhere, and they're biting him. He drops his bag at one point, his tool bag. Goes down to get it. He gets bitten twice. So yeah, this is not good. Roger. He's a little guy too. He's probably 5'6" if he's a day, maybe 5'4". Next, or maybe Kenforee is just really tall, but he looks really short.
No, Kenforee is a very, very large man. When he was in the Halloween 2 remake, he was the exact same size as the dude that was playing Michael Myers.
Okay.
So, and he was also in another more recent role he had was in The Devil's Rejects.
Oh, okay.
And he was quite a big guy in that too. He was probably taller than both Bill Moseley and God, his name escapes me. The guy that played Captain Spaulding.
Sid Haig?
Sid Haig, rest in peace.
Yeah, Sid Haig. All right. So he's dropped his bag there. He realizes he's really screwed up.
Kenforee is 6'5". I looked it up.
Oh, jeez. Okay, so maybe scotthreiniger is like 5'10" then. He's probably my height. He looks really short next to Kenforee though.
He's a big dude.
Big dude.
Big dude.
Thank you for that, Major Hazzard.
You're
There's
welcome.
the bite. The leg bite. Yeah, he gets bitten on the arm and the leg, and they're talking, and Peter says, look, I've seen guys bitten by these things before. They last like 3 days. You know, because they have all kinds of bacteria and stuff. You don't know what these dead guys are carrying when they bite you. So they go to the local gun shop, stock up, start shooting zombies in the head. And they're wheeling him around in a wheelbarrow. Come on, let's have fun. And so they lock up the doors.
This is actually, I think this has been spoofed in a different movie, carrying around the guy that's been zombied up in a wheelbarrow.
Okay.
Damn. It wasn't Shaun of the Dead, but you know what it was? It was I think it was Hostel 3. No, I'm sorry. It was the movie Croc that was made by Tobe Hooper, same maker of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. He made a movie about a killer crocodile, and there was this asshole character that nobody liked, and he got his legs bitten off, so they had to carry him around in the wheelbarrow the whole time, and it was just like, why do we need this guy? Why don't you just kill him off? He's slowing everything down.
Okay.
So maybe that was Tobe Hooper's homage to Dawn of the Dead.
Who knows? Could be. So he's heavily sedated now because he's a lot of pain. Here's where they're taking the zombies to the meat lockers. And then again, they start looting again and they don't have to worry about zombies coming up on them. They're taking the characters in this movie, including the bikers at the end of the movie here. They're just taking stupid. Well, now here they're showing that he's having a good last day, basically. Roger, he's trying on hats. He's eating his favorite foods. You know, he's okay. He's having a good day. But they're taking money and stuff that just doesn't mean anything in a zombie apocalypse anymore. Jewelry, money. That's the scene where he tells the guy, you know, you're gonna have to do it. You're gonna have to shoot me, you know, when I turn into a zombie. You promise you'll do it, right? Yeah, right there. And he's looking worse for wear. And they're watching TV outside, and that's when he comes back as a zombie. And he says, "Don't worry, I'll do it. I'll look after him." Which is a very heroic thing to do. I'll stay in the room with the zombie and put him down while you guys watch TV. And he comes back as a zombie, opens his eyes, bam. And they hear the gunshot, bam. And it's a very tense scene. And again, very emotional, I mean, this is a guy that they hung out with, they liked, and now he's gone. So they bury him in the mall next to the fountain and the escalator. And there's this meal that Stephen Flyboy sets up where Peter is the waiter. And he proposes to Francine. And she's like, no, and it's very awkward. And he's obviously not happy about it because she's not taking his ring that he's gotten for her, that he stole from her from JCPenney. But I got it at Penny's. That's the problem. Sorry, I don't want to upset JCPenney's. Fine store. Fine chain of stores. And again, sex just isn't the same. Not having to worry about zombies popping in.
Well, post-proposal rejection sex isn't quite the same as,
I don't want to be your wife, but yeah, we can just live here in sin for a while.
The post-proposal acceptance sex is what he was going for, and maybe that was in a different cut of the movie.
In the 4-hour version, they show this a lot. The crossing off the calendar.
Yes.
Tension is flaring. They're cooped up in this place, and it's like, maybe we should leave. No, we can't leave this place. It's great. Oh my, laugh out loud, so graphic. And we get to the point where she goes, look, somebody needs to teach me how to fly this helicopter here, okay? Because if something happens to you, and it's foreshadowing, folks, somebody else needs to know how to fly the helicopter. So he teaches her how to fly the helicopter, and that's a nice scene. Yeah, you did it. You flew a helicopter. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the biker gang shows up. Kind of a Nazi biker gang shows up, and they're watching, and they're going, hey, they got lots of stuff in there. We need that stuff. Let's go in there and take it. And then they see the biker gang, and they're like, hey, we got to be careful. We got to protect our stuff. So a war is building up here. And then they call them on a ham radio. They don't want to share. They won't answer. They goes, oh, see, we don't like people don't like to share. And they break into the mall, letting zombies back in the mall again. They pull the trucks out of the way. They go in, they loot, they kill zombies wantonly. It's like they're not even afraid of the zombies.
Nope,
and
not at all.
Yeah, they're putting pies in their faces and seltzer bottles. I mean, it's silly. So
actually, there's several music cues in this film. If I'm not mistaken, I believe the band that did the music for this is called Goblin.
The Goblins.
And they're called the Goblins here, and in Italy they're just Goblin. But I love the score to this movie. There's that not only is there that that's it's kind of like that early sort of techno thing that's still it's still a dramatic score, but it's definitely not 1967 anymore. And then
they make it a point to say that Dario Argento set that up. He evidently knew the goblin or the goblins and brought them into this project somehow. So
Dario Argento did the same thing for Claudio Fragasso for Troll 2. Because they were also involved with Troll 2. But even in some of these biker scenes and towards the end, there's almost like this popcorn theme It's like and it's just completely silly. And it kind of it's a juxtaposition as to what's happening.
So the bikers spot Flyboy as he's trying to go up into the elevator panel, and they shoot him in the arm, which is not good. He's bleeding. They also spot Peter and start shooting at him. So he starts shooting at them. War has been declared. And a lot of the bikers get shot and pulled apart by zombies. And this is, I don't remember seeing this scene the first time I watched this. And it's not as graphic as Day of the Dead. Day of the Dead, they do this like 3 times in the film with 3 characters. And it's just, it is really graphic. How these zombies pull the stomach cavity open and start pulling out entrails and stuff. So Savini had really perfected this by the time Day of the Dead came out. Steven, unfortunately, the zombies get into the elevator and just start chomping on him. And they bite him several times before he manages to shoot them and kick them out of the elevator. They hear the gunshots upstairs. It doesn't look good. It doesn't sound good. We'll just wait for a while, see if he comes back. Probably thinking to themselves, he's not going to come back as a zombie. He wouldn't remember, right? So they show the zombies chowing down on biker parts. And a zombie clicks the elevator button and opens it up. And this is actually in our opening credit scene for this season. The elevator opens and Flyboy, Steven, is zombified. He is a really gnarly looking zombie. There it is. And of course they walk away from him because he's one of them now. And I've always loved that about the zombie in the zombie films. This one started with this one, but it worked its way into other zombie films where the zombies don't care about other zombies who are just made into zombies. They just walk away from them. They just turn away. Oh, you're a zombie? You're one of us? Oh, okay, cool. They walk away, stumble away. So
they use that in several parodies, like in that Shaun of the Dead, the walk like a zombie thing, where they just walk along with them to trick them into thinking that they're zombies too. Yeah. They did that in Poultrygeist as well. She put on the chicken outfit and tried to go out there.
Yeah. So he's like, okay, I'll take care of Flyboy. He's coming. And he does. And he goes, look, I don't want to go with you. I don't want to go anymore. I just want to stay. So you go save yourself, save your baby. And he goes and he sits and mopes in the room waiting for the zombies to attack. She gets in the helicopter. She waits and she sees zombies coming up out of that roof opening. But she still waits, which is nice. And he's got the gun. He's got that Derringer pointing at his head. And then he changes his mind. He decides, I want to fight for my life. And then obviously the director put this shot here, which is the dawn. The shot of the dawn.
It's been nearly 2 hours. It's been nearly 2 hours. We might as well bring it up now. It is in the title of the movie.
Yes. But it's the point where he decides I want to live. That's I kind of ironic and there it is. And there's that lead nurse zombie. Yeah. And there's a zombie that's holding a gun too. Somebody gave him a gun and he's holding it. And she actually thinks it's him for a second when he comes up through the roof. And then he realizes it's not him, it's a zombie that's holding a gun. But this is where he decides to live and he shoots the zombie through the head. A lot of zombies the back of their head hitting the wall behind them in this. That was one of Savini's top effects. He would put a condom full of blood behind the head and with a squib in it. And boom, yeah. paint the wall with the blood. Then she sees him come out, and he does some serious gung fu action on these zombies, and he gives his other gun to the zombie with the one gun, and he's holding two guns now. And he jumps in the helicopter, and they decide to fly off into the dawn and to gosh knows where. Now, forgive me. The actress in Day of the Dead is a different actress, am I right? Than Gaylenross?
Yes.
They look alike. I mean, he tends to cast these actresses that look alike. And again, they have a helicopter in that film as well. But instead of dealing with police, they're dealing with military, so it's slightly different. And again, they're doing research on zombies to see if they can stop the zombie apocalypse. But anyway,
yes.
That's it. That's, they leave it a big question mark. What's going to happen next? And then again, a few years later, we get Day of the Dead, which we'll do on the show sometime down the line. I do have to put Shaun of the Dead on my list, though. We got to do that one.
We already did Day. We already did Day, right?
No, we did Night of the Living Dead and we did Dawn. So
just now, we never did Day. Oh,
we haven't done Day yet, but we will.
Huh.
So thank you for coming on this show and helping us through our Dawn of the Dead episode. We hope that the crowd enjoyed it. Thank you, Major Hazzard.
Thank you. And remember, everyone, stay tuned because No Icing with Drita is coming up. They're having surprise guests from Staten Island, growing up in Staten Island. It's going to be very exciting, very fun. Staten Island.
I know that must be exciting for you. Yonkers.
I'm very excited. I'm going to be there. I can't wait.
Yonkers.
I'm from Yonkers, which, is like a sister to Staten Island.
All right. Well, you all have a good rest of your day or your evening, and keep an eye out for those big monsters.